Please sit down. Hello, Pranav.
This is not being video recorded, is it?
Yes, it's right here. Yeah. Thank you, Pranav. Good afternoon, Pranav. Thanks a lot for agreeing to come and meeting us today. How are you today?
We will.
Saturday.
Excited to meet you guys.
All right. I've gone through this very impressive CV on this. Pretty much a supply chain specialist. Why don't you walk me through your background? What are the kind of challenges you handle?
Yeah, so as you would have noticed, I am passed out of National Institute of Industry and Engineering 2006 batch and major in supply chain and operations. My summer intern project was with Britannia Industries, and it was rated as the second best in the institute, and I got an award for that, and I also got the pre-placement offer for the same.
Okay.
And it was on designing the optimal locations for the warehouse across the country for Britannia. Britannia was somewhere around $500 million company at that time, and I was entrusted the task of finding the optimal locations for around 40 to 50 warehouses. And that was my first project in supply chain, and that's how the journey started. Based on my performance here, I think the company had already finalized what would be my role as a management trainee. Actually, they hired around 10 management trainees from across the country. I was the only one who was pulled out of management trainee period because of the assignment that was already earmarked for me. And it was a very interesting project. It was about manufacturing strategy, identifying the optimal locations for the factories, and also finding out the best way so that you can reduce the cost which is delivered at the warehouses.
This was in your first stint.
This is in the first 1.5 years. Yeah. So you would appreciate that just like AEC International.
Yeah.
So in Britannia also we have a lot of cost margins, pressures. For example, our PAT is around 4 to 5% the total revenues, just like AEC. And then so the whole focus of management is to extract the maximum amount of cost that we can from the system. So this manufacturing strategy project was focused on this, and the cost base was somewhere around 3,500 crores. And it included all the raw material purchases that we had, all the packing material purchases, the conversion cost for 50 factories, 200 SKUs, 10,000 dealers, I mean, end to end. And so this was a very nice experience. I was, you can say, I evolved as a person because I had to talk to senior guys and also to the lower end guys. At the higher end, I was talking to the vice presidents of operations and supply chain, general manager manufacturing, because when you do such a sort of a project, it involves invariably all the facets of the company. It's not only just manufacturing and supply chain.
So this year or year and a half that you spent in the first step, were there two different roles that you had, or was all that in one?
This was, yes, so this was a part-time project that I was functioning on, and my designation was a production planning manager.
Okay.
So Britannia has around 200 SKUs and 50 factories, and I was responsible for all the major SKUs and the major factories, the production planning and dispatch scheduling across the country. The end output for me was to ensure OTIF deliveries on time and in full at both the case level, on time and in full, so that the sales doesn't stock out, right? So that's the major point here. So I did this work for around 1.5 years, and then I got an opportunity with Unilever to work in logistics. So that was a little bit of an experience for me. As you would have noticed, I only lasted there for 5 months.
Why do you use this word last?
I lasted there for 4 to 5 months because I had certain notions about work. I was fresh off the college still, if I could say so. Unilever was a very corporate company, and I was the first one who was getting into Unilever. From my batch at that time, I was getting the maximum salary. I thought, this is it, so I'm getting in. So the executive director supply chain called me to Mumbai, and he personally interviewed me. They offered me a role. I joined, and I soon realized that it's not the kind of person I am. It's not about the company, it's about the job. So unless you like the profile, you will not stay in that company. At least I will not stay.
What is wrong with the profile?
Okay, so this is one of my personality traits. I don't like brutal execution. So logistics per se is characterized by brutal execution. All that you have to do is that you don't have much in your hand. So you get the stocks from the companies, from the factories, the finished goods. You have to deliver it to all the years in time.
Mhm.
There is not much planning to be done, as is in the case of, if you would appreciate that the kind of work that I was doing in production planning, it involved part strategy and part execution. If it's only execution, if it's only firing people and getting things done, there is not much leeway that is given to you, the latitude that you can think. It's only about that you have to get 10 trucks in the morning, you have to deliver 10 trucks in the evening, and that's all. That you have to do over and over again. So I thought that my
Sorry to
intellectual,
interrupt you.
yeah.
What I hear you saying is this 3 months execution for you in levers meant just firing people and getting things done. Was there no
That
systems and was it
usually
not
what-
working?
Okay.
It's a
So-
multinational, committed multinational in their own
Exactly.
words.
But when we talk about Unilever in terms of logistics, they are very aggressive. So in Britannia we had,
Yeah,
I would
this
give
is not bad.
I would give you just an idea of feel. So in Britannia, CRSE, that is the Continuous Replenishment System Efficiency, was something
So,
like
sorry, too fast.
Yeah.
What is CRSE?
CRSE is the Replenishment System Efficiency, and it was somewhere around 85%. So it means
Please
that
come again. What does CRSE stand for?
so it is so it is a continuous replenishment system efficiency. It means that how well you are servicing your customers.
Okay.
Okay, so 85% means that on an average 15% of the stocks are not being delivered in time. Right. In Unilever it was 95%.
So there'll be stock outs in the.
Yes, yes. Right. And in Unilever it was 95%. But the pressure on the whole system was to get it beyond 95%. 95 to 96 is much more difficult than getting it from 85 to 80
Sure.
to 89. So when I was working on this, I realized that I joined it maybe in a hurry. It was a mistake. And I talked to the general manager of manufacturing. I asked him if there is another profile for me similar to like production planning and handling the factories and all. He said you have to work here for another 2 to 3 years before we give you another opportunity. So
Sorry, I want to drill deeper
Yeah.
into this. Did the pressure get to you or you just didn't like it?
okay, the
You can't
pressures.
handle pressure.
Yeah, no, the pressures were equally high when it was about Britannia. So when you are dealing with a project with 4,500 troops, there is an equal amount of pressure, but then there are different types of pressure. So either you have a lot of intellectual pressure and execution pressure, or you have just an execution pressure where it is said that you don't have to think, you have to just deliver. So there is a difference. So it was the nature of the pressure that I did not like. Because if I just have to buy, they can get any sort of an administrator. They don't need a nitty guy who has spent 2 years in production planning and optimization techniques and all that stuff. So I thought that it is maybe not the best profile for me.
But then you also say that you are handling a very interesting project in terms of a changeover of a warehouse,
Yes.
with least amount of blackout.
Yes. Yes.
Great challenge, and if you have done it successfully,
That was probably brutal execution because there was police coming in.
brutal execution. The second time you mentioned
Yeah,
it,
I'm just telling you, well, there's not much of intellectual input that needs to happen. There's no planning. So when it was about, so I will tell you a bit of details. So we had a debit note of 1.5 crores that we raised to old CML, and he was not too happy about this. And we were doing a lot of not the right things, if you can say, not playing by the books. And I would not like to disclose all that. So because there are a lot of things that go behind the scenes. So the kind of brokerages that we have to pay, but that never show on paper. So these are things that.
that part of it I understand. But the brutal execution per se is, you're giving it a very negative connotation.
From logistics perspective, if you talk about, I am not. If I give you a facet of like what different types of jobs entail, logistics per se does not have much of a freedom that it gives to a manager in terms of executing the job. The nature of the logistics guy is that you have to ensure that there is no detention when it comes to trucks. They should be unloaded every day in time. You should have proper warehouse hygiene, and then they should be delivered back to all the customers.
Fine, let's move beyond the levers.
Yeah. So then I thought let's try hand-in consulting because that would give me a lot of new variety of work and where I can use the real knowledge that I had gained in the last 4 years. And
So during your engineering, did you do computer science or?
yeah, computer science and engineering. And I worked with firstly Procter & Gamble and then with Adidas. So Procter & Gamble was more or less the same like Britannia work because it was FMCG and it was easy to work on demand planning and forecasting as you would have noticed. And then I moved on to Adidas. It was a totally new industry and I really liked it. It was characterized by 60% churn in terms of SKUs. So we had around 50,000 SKUs every 6 months during summer and fall winter. And to work on such a challenging environment was really good. So I enjoyed working on this demand planning and forecasting stuff for Adidas. I worked there for around 5 years, And after a certain point of time, it started getting repetitive in nature. 5 years demand planning and forecasting, and then the next opportunity for me was to go to Reebok US. They had taken over Reebok in US, and they were asking me to help them set up the business process for demand planning. But then it would have been again a sort of a repetitive sort of a job. Then I got to know what is Britannia next function. This was started by
Your old boss called you back.
No, so no one called me back. I just got to know. I was in touch with my friends there, so I found out that Britannia next is a new function, and this is about process excellence and cost optimizations. And this was something which I liked. This was again a new kind of a job. I talked to the HR head. He knew me, and then I was interviewed 2-3 rounds, and then I got in. And then we started working on all the replenishment related initiatives.
That's about for a year
Yes.
before you got to. Because then eventually you see this one kind of a trend that struck me was you seem to be comfortable working for Indian companies. But when it comes to an MNC, you didn't last too long. Your own words.
I worked with Adidas for 3 years. I think that was the maximum time that I spent there. And I also worked with PNG in India and Brazil.
The
for
pressure on
2 years.
the job pressure was not high in Adidas.
Oh, that was very high because we were losing a lot of money. Even surprisingly, even Adidas is also working on 5% profit after tax margins. And they were also looking for improving the forecasting accuracies. So I would not say that, or if I talk in terms of Britannia, the last 1 year that we have been working, there was a lot of pressure. So it's not that pressure per se took on me. It was the nature of work that I was doing. For example, if you talk to me about doing just front-end sales, so that would be more, execution than marketing. So I'm not saying that marketing is not
So
a
that's
pressure.
what
Yeah.
So anyway, on your 4 profiles, one thing that clearly strikes me is you had to do a lot with crunching data, a lot of analytical work, be it demand planning, CRPs. Have there been any instances in this last say 10 years where you had to work in humongous amount of data and that led you to a decision which finally proved to be right or not because of the mistake?
Okay, so this was one of the projects that I did for bread division. And there was another similar project that was for biscuits division. So there we had a lot of data as we talked about. So just because of the scale of operations at which we work, so we have around 10,000 lines. So lines means a combination of a factory, a scale, and a warehouse. This is a line. So each of the line has to be optimized, and each line has certain parameters. Amount of tonnage that has to be sent to that line, the amount of production that has to happen in a particular factory, what kind of suppliers are there. So in terms of data to talk about, the model itself was 400 pages of Word, and the data was 5 lakh variables. And eventually we came up with 2 factories in Cuttack and Hajipur, and that were being installed and implemented. And recently we have a new factory at Jagadia in Gujarat. So that was, I think, lasted for around 6 months. And not a lot of data, and it was impacting a lot of, it was a cross-functional project. So we had to talk to sales, marketing, supply chain, manufacturing, engineering department. So that
How
is
comfortable are you working in the cross-functional?
initially I found it a bit difficult because when we started going to review with the CEO and the MD, people would take different stands. Sales would come with something else. They would like to optimize their own department's interests. Later on, I realized after 1.5 years that the decision gets taken even before you get into the meeting. So the consensus has to be made before you go to the
Is
meeting.
always the case?
Not always. A lot of times it helped me. So I would go to all the GMs, the functional heads. I will talk to them about what is in there for them, and then we will try to resolve it beforehand.
So some pre-selling was done.
It was. So if you because a lot of times the sense of ownership is not there. I will give you an example of the zero-day inventory. So the zero-day inventory is a new concept. I mean, in India, no one has tried this yet. So zero-day inventory is the typical model is that you produce in a factory, you store in warehouse, then you sell it to the dealer. Dealer keeps some inventory and then sells it on. In Mumbai per se, this was a typical Mumbai project because the real estate costs are very high. Now, the working capital requirement for a dealer includes manifold in Mumbai because of this rent issues. So what we said was we will make the inventory levels zero at all the dealers. Now, sales, I mean, they were completely lost at what supply chain is talking about. So So we said that we will deliver them directly from either factory or from the warehouses.
So no stocking at all?
No stock at all. What it means is that the buffer that we had against the market uncertainty was taken away. And we were directly in front line, we were directly in line with the retail outlets. I'm just coming to that. So there are two opposite trends, and either you can go with forecasting or with replenishment. So forecasting is more connotation or more reflective of a push system. So we wanted to have a pull system to replenishment. Now, what happened was sales was first of all they denied that we cannot do this. We told them a number of negatives. A typical salesman, how it happens in FMCG industry is when he goes to collect orders at retail outlets, he already knows what is there with my dealer. And he will not take order for that particular line which is not available. So apparently on the system at the central office, it will feel that we are doing very well and we are meeting complete market demand. Ironically, we don't even know what the market demand is because he will not take orders. So first of all, we told them that your potential is much higher. Then we said you will not be able to sell. If you lose out on something, in a normal case it's a stock out, but maybe the dealer has some stocks. It's a stock out at warehouse, but the dealer has stocks, you meet the demand. But if you lose stocks now, it means direct sales loss. So
is there an element of profit maximization also involved in this?
In this case,
SKU what was said.
no. So profit maximization is not a function of our choice; it's more what market needs. So the point that we wanted to make to them was that first of all, it will help you capture the right amount of demand that is there in the market. Secondly, we gave them a question. We increased the number of days of inventory at our warehouses. We increased the frequency. We increased the frequency, not to that extent because it was an aggregated inventory now. So if you have inventory in spread out areas, you have to keep more inventory. But if you aggregate all the inventory at a central level, for example, you have central regional warehouses, they are for that very purpose. So our warehouse started acting as a regional warehouse for all the distributors. This was a very new concept. We want to try this. When we started with one AW, we call it authorized wholesaler, the dealer, and we did well. And the number of lines that were to be sold, they increased by 10%.
So you have these things your own idea?
In about what?
This new concept that you're talking about.
No, so this was a team. So every year, at the beginning of the session, we have a brainstorming session with all the different departments. So this was one of the ideas that we worked upon. I was not the originator, but I helped in implementing it and how this can be done. So eventually we ended up with completely converting Bombay on zero-day inventory. So yeah.
What did it mean for the company?
It meant around 10% increase in sales. At the AW level, it meant reduction in AW attrition. At any point of time in Bombay, we were suffering with 30% attrition of dealers. And an AW or dealer attrition means for next 3 to 4 months, it's a complete blackout. You will not be able to sell anything because it's very difficult to get a new wholesaler or new dealer and then establishing. And 30% guys not working at any point in time means direct sales loss. So that was the first thing. Now there is hardly any attrition, and in fact these guys are putting pressure back on the multinationals, Unilever, to get them into this zero-day inventory because it's a very close network of dealers. Every guy knows that who is the dealer of Unilever, who is the dealer of Britannia. So they are putting back pressure. That was a good thing. But again, bring back this multinational and national sort of a divide that we just talked about. I was talking with Johnson & Johnson and also with Marico in my capacity as replenishment manager for all the innovative products. We were looking for opportunities on reverse auctioning of freight. Okay, so freight is around 8 to 10% of the overall spend is on freight. So we are spending around 350 to 400 crores freight annually. Okay. And we send 10,000 shipments every month, Britannia as a company. Now, Johnson & Johnson and Marico, the shipment value is higher with respect to us, but the volumes are low. And when we talk about reverse auctioning, so reverse auctioning is that so we invite bids from multiple transporters on different lanes, factory to warehouse lanes, and they would quote certain prices. It's very simple, we pick up the best. We don't give him the complete business because of the risk involved. We give some chunk of it to the second highest bid. We wanted to increase the total volume that is being offered on the table. So that would increase your bargaining power. So this kind of things have not happened in India again. I mean, you never go back and talk to other industry guys on such things. So this collaboration has started. So you're talking to Johnson & Johnson and Marico. What we realized was they were at any point in time on any lane they were paying more than 20% than us.
Oh.
Reasons were they never had the reverse option. We were doing reverse auction for last 3 to 4 years.
And is this, I think, like industry first?
This is an industry first. This is not happening. So there is one company which is trying to get in smaller guys together, but there are a lot of times we talked about talk to ITC also. Now ITC is a competitor.
Yeah.
Normally you don't go and talk to your competitors, right? But we went to ITC and talked about. But then there are certain things, there are certain prerequisites. First of all, there should be a fit in terms of scale. So the lanes that you are talking about, ITC wanted it for their Munger factory. Now from Saharanpur and from Hyderabad for this PSPT division. They don't have that much amount of work on that lane. We have huge amount of volume. So first of all, that fit has to be there. Secondly, the payments that you give for a typical vehicle, that should be in the same range. If you are giving 100 rupees and I am giving 10 rupees, it's you who is going to benefit the most because the combined average will be 9. So and you are not going to come and share that money with us. So these things have been happening, and so there were a lot of instances where we faced trouble. As you said, I mean, is it always necessary to do some pre-selling and all? I mean, it does require, because there are certain projects, unless you make the other department aware of the benefits that can accrue to them, they may not be interested. There was one more project that I talked about that was on secondary distribution. So the sales, so again, the Indian companies have started going rural.
Yes.
Right. The problem with rural is that it is sparse market. It's spread all over. The volume that comes up is very small. Now, if you have to optimize, if you have to strengthen and optimize your sales channel across, something innovative has to be done, and you cannot just go by the rules of the urban market.
Right.
Now, this particular project was a failure in Britannia for the last 3 years.
Okay.
For the first time last year, we succeeded. What we did was slightly different thing. We sold it out to sales. We said it's a sales project. It's not a supply chain project, because they were always of the view that if it's why should I be working on a project which is more towards getting efficiency, because it's not going to give you more sales. It is only about extracting cost from the system. Sales is more interested in selling.
Right.
So we said that, so I talked to the national director for sales. We said that this is the stuff. We are not, their main worry was that we will reduce the service frequency to all these distributors, 5% distributors. So he said that I cannot take drop in the number of times you serve a particular dealer. The idea was to somehow convince him one way or the other. So what I told him was, is it allowed to change the time we service your dealer? So instead of giving him say around 5 p.m., is it okay if I deliver it at 8 p.m.? And he said, okay, it's okay, boss. Now started the game. So what we did was, we started with we started clubbing AWs on a particular route. We got into route optimization. Now route optimization is again very few companies are doing. We took help from Beacon, it's a consulting firm. So this was one idea which I had put forth. And then initially the metrics only for sales.
Okay.
When for the first 3 years when we were working on it, sales was not interested, they would not put in effort. Now I created 4 different metrics. There was one on clubbing efficiency, there was one on utilization of vehicles. So if the vehicle is 800 square feet and you are selling only 500 square feet, it's not allowed. Then,
No, sorry, I need to interrupt you. Obviously, you have done some very good work. Let's change tax.
Yeah.
Let's come to RPG. So you applied for this job for project manager. What did you get?
Okay, so one of my
You saw the
tricks-
JD, but
I
you didn't
saw-
don't fit in the JD, but still you
Exactly,
applied.
exactly. And I was surprised that why did you choose me? But I wanted to ask you why did you choose me and for someone.
We will tell you that later, but.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I applied was I would not say that it was complete fit or complete misfit. I mean, get a complete fit is almost impossible. I had around 50% of it in terms of the project that I handled, in terms of the capability building, in terms of finding out the factory locations, warehouses. There was certain amount of similarity, the kind of project that I did on manufacturing strategy. To a certain extent it was similar, but a large part was dissimilar. For example, budgeting and talking to budgeting what to a certain extent was there, or getting clearances from government. I was just reading all Mr. Chandra's announcements that collectors create a lot of problems. They don't give you in-time clearances, right of way and all that stuff. So this is something that I have not been exposed to right now externally, but internally I have handled all these hurdles. So a lot of hurdles are created within the company. If the project
This
is
will be more difficult.
which will be more difficult because your company, I mean, KEC is more about project-based company. It's a project-based company. So you are not a project-based company. So we have individual silos, and one silo to another silo, it's like talking from one, it's just like AC International talking to another government. Talking to sales in our companies is not so easy. I mean, both ways, it's very difficult. So to that extent, I have handled hurdles. I have handled large scale projects that you talked about. I have handled cross-functional teams. In Adidas.
What is the ticket size that you have handled when you say large scale project? Some of the projects could be
The smallest project,
hundreds of millions of dollars.
smallest project was just 5 crores.
5 crores.
5 crores, and the biggest project was 4,500 crores.
4,500.
4,500 crores.
You handle
yet
that alone?
No, so no one can. So there's always a steering committee for that. So this ZDA project was.
Were you head of the steering committee?
No, so the head of the steering committee, it was no single head. So it committee consisted of 3 guys, 2 general managers of replenishment, manufacturing, and commercials. And then I was the anchor of the team. I was the first person they would come to. I was like a project manager.
Okay.
And then so no one was directly reporting to me in any of the factories, any of the regions. There were around 30, 40 guys directly, but they all had to listen to me because I could easily influence them. I had the authority, and I was drawing my authority from these 3 GMs. And every fortnight we had to present it to Mr. Berry, the CEO. And so I used to draw my power from there. Another big project that I did was statistical forecasting. That was a $6 billion project. The scope, the European market was $6 billion.
And the slight difference here is most of your projects that you had a lot of work that you could sit inside your office, build models and execute. The project manager's job that we have is actually not physical execution. Remote corners of the world. It could be Kazakhstan, it could be Algeria, it could be Jharkhand, wherever. You have never worked in such hostile territories.
I'm not working in hostile territory, but I've worked on site. Okay, so there was one of the assignments we were installing a new factory. So again, through this project, we found out a factory place, and then my manager said, okay, now you go and see whether the factory is getting installed in time. So that was in Hyderabad. And the idea was to expedite the whole factory within 1.5 months, press it down by 1.5 months. And my initial duration there was supposed to be only for 15 days. The head of the engineering department, he sent me there for 2 weeks to see whether everything is going in place. I was representing Britannia there. And
sorry, again, I interrupt you. Most of our projects are high-tech electrical projects. Okay. It's creating a substation. We have high voltage substation next to high voltage. And most of the team members, at least the engineer, team people would be electrical engineers. They would come back and tell you, look, this is possible, this is not possible. They'll try and move the project in a way that is comfortable to them for execution. As a project manager, your KPI says, this is your budget, this is your risk. That's what the company wants to achieve. Second, customer. Customer has always demands, which sometimes is reasonable, sometimes unreasonable. Third is a set of hurdles that the local environment can throw up. How do you handle this? You don't know the domain. Your company is pushing you for a KPI, and the customers and circumstances which are not in favor.
To put things slightly into perspective, I was never a supply chain guy. I would appreciate I was a computer science engineer, and my first project was on something that I never had done. It could have been very well said before that you are not a manufacturing engineer. You have never done any supply chain, and in terms of setting up factories, you are a guy who works in front of a black box, and that's all you are. But I was able to handle it. So it's more important that you are adaptive. You can adapt yourself to changing circumstances. The kind of profile that you would see that I have held.
So you believe you have it in you too?
I have handled very different profiles, if you see. I have worked in all different aspects.
I'll take your word for that.
Yeah.
Pranav, I'll pass you over to
So Pranav, thanks for showing interest on this particular position, project manager in KEC. Just wanted to know, as a person, if you were to see yourself in the project manager situation, what aspects of your personal conduct, behavior you'd like to change from what you've been doing until now?
There is one aspect which I think is sometimes I feel is my weakness, is that the problem of delegation. I had this problem that I could not easily delegate the work that was given to me. It happened, I was unaware, oblivious to this fact that I'm not able to handle. Only when the pressures started increasing on me, I started realizing that it's not possible for me to handle everything by myself. I passed on some of the work to my juniors in the replenishment business that I was talking about there. This beat my bandwidth, and I was able to volunteer for this great business project. So this is one thing that I would like to change. A project manager job is not to keep everything to himself, but to find out the person who can best do the job. If I am good at doing that, I would be a successful project manager. I need to understand the skills of people rather than trying to be a multitasking guy, trying to do everything by himself. So this is one thing I need to change.
Very good. Now, the person you have delegated, that person is at the receiving end. And he or she is looking at this as a brutal execution assignment. Right? So how do you make it interesting for this person so that, he or she is not as demotivated as you are?
Okay, a large part of it also depends on how the person sees a particular job.
Exactly.
Sometimes the job gets so repetitive, time and again, that it becomes very boring. I will again, so I will again draw an analogy with my past experience. So the lady to whom I delegated this job was about finding out, ensuring that none of the trucks, the 10,000 shipments I talked about per month, go below a certain percentage. And she was supposed to highlight all the exceptions on a daily basis to me, and then we would get back these guys and find out what happened, what did not work out. Now, if I had gone straight away and asked her to do this job, maybe she would not have felt enthused about this whole aspect. What I told her was that, look, it is a repetitive job by nature. But what I had already started doing by that time was, I removed a lot of repetitive and the boring part of it into the system. We created thresholds for each of the lanes, and whenever there was an exception, it would come as a flag to her. And her job, I increased the quality of work. I asked her to talk to each of the people across the regions and find out why it's working, why is it not working. And she found it very interesting. But till that time, she was just an MIS person. And when she realized that she could, so you have to we have to give something back to the person. We have to think from their aspect as well. So I removed the, not so, I removed the repetitive part of it in the system, and then and that was much more efficient also. I mean, you don't have to scroll to 10,000 line items every day. And
very good. Good. Thanks for sharing that. And when you now look at application of your management education, with all the conversation until now we had what you've done before doing your MBBS. And of course, these are early days. But what are some of the new thoughts which strike you that you would do your job back if you were to do it again differently?
okay, so can I make a confession? So I used to think that marketing is fluff, and all these costing guys are there just to create hurdles for us so that we cannot move ahead. So, so I started appreciating the work that they do. So marketing is not fluff. I mean, there's real work that is involved. Costing is not something just to prevent you, because each time I would throw away the proposal, they would say, this is not working, that is not working. I said, you guys just sit on your Excel and work out some numbers and stop us from going ahead. I have started appreciating it much more now, because I see that beyond the costs that we think that are directly involved, there are multiple other implications that happen across. It is not just the cost of the project per se, it's beyond that scope. So, so this has made me more aware of the overall impact that a project can have in terms of costing, in terms of learning as well, in terms of even if we talk about OB, organization engineer, I mean, how do you talk to the other person, whether you empathize with the other person or not. So such things have made me more aware, so that I look beyond supply chain and operations. So I don't think it's a silo of a supply chain guy, because beyond a certain point, it will not help me. I have to be more aware at an organization level of what the impacts would be. So this way, I think this particular post would help me. Beyond this, there are a lot of opportunities in terms of we have representatives coming from more than 20 factories. In fact, the total combined experience of the classes are last. So when you talk beyond the class, you get exposed to so many new ideas from different industries. You draw parallels, you find out the best practices. So all these things would, they are not stated, but these are things that would definitely help us.
And you were right for project manager at KEC, because that's the position which we have announced. But if you had all the choices, what would be your ideal career choice?
Okay, so I don't know that. I never knew it. The only thing that I know that it should be exciting enough, it should be slightly different from what I have been doing. Because I may come back to you after 3 years asking you to move me to some other project on some other completely different vertical, maybe you have so many different things, I mean water or something. So this is one thing, so it should not be repetitive, it should be slightly different, and it should be somewhat related also. It cannot be I go into finance or into investment. So this is, I think, there is around 50 to 60% of match. 40% I would learn from the company, and I would give back to the company in terms of my hard work. But beyond 3 or 4 years, it would be just like I'm doing repetitive things over and over again. It's only one direction benefit that I'm adding. Even for the company, it's not good because you should have multi-skilled and multi-skilled people. So that is something that I would look for. That was a very reason I left job from Germany and came back to India.
You mentioned about things being repetitive, but they are repetitive. Let's say even if you are chairman of a company, for a chairman, every year he or she is looking at the strategic direction of the businesses, looking at budgets, looking at budget versus actual, monitoring the resources, dealing with the environment. It's very routine, year after year.
Maybe I put it wrongly. I meant ambiguity. The amount of ambiguity that a chairman or a CEO handles cannot be seen at lower levels. At lower levels, it's hard-coded. Every day you have to come in, you have to do something. That was the same in logistics. I'm sorry, I'm going back there. Nothing against that. I'm not just that kind of person. I need some ambiguity in my job. I need to think. It cannot be somebody just tells me that you have to do this thing every day, every weekend. I just keep on repeating. There should be some decision making, some ambiguity, so that you some scope for improvement. That's something that I'm looking for. So even though it is repetitive, it is really challenging, really uncertain. You are working in uncertain environment. So that's what I'm looking for.
Any question which you have, which you want to share with us?
Yes, definitely. So I was just reading about RPG and I found too interesting these things. And RPG as on date is standing at a very cusp where the things are just supposed to accelerate in all the business segments that we are operating in, be it water, which is the fastest growing segment. And when we see, and your type of business gets impacted by the macroeconomics hugely. So the new government coming in, the budget maybe will bring a lot of new things. And if they go for interconnectivity of rivers, or they go ahead with high-speed rail networks, I mean, in your order books, tell that 10,000 crores of orders are already there. You have set up a new factory at Vadodara, you have increased 35,000 metric tons of capacity in 3 plants in India. But do you feel that you would be able to cater to this new huge amount of demand that's going to come in? 5 lakh to 6 lakh crore is the slated budget for this interconnectivity. And how would you cater to such huge amount of orders? That are you ready in terms of production and people? Both of them, I would understand.
So you have read the lines very carefully, and I think I must compliment you on your insights. We are very excited about the opportunities which are in front of us. We have been building capabilities internally. We've been expanding our factories. We have been acquiring the capacities, building up a robust talent pipeline. Even at the top level, we have made sure that they are strengthened. We just hired a president for infrastructure business, who is exclusively looking after new businesses, like water, etc., which you mentioned. So that's a great and exciting opportunity that we really feel that it's there. And that's why we need people like yourself, which is part of our capability building initiative. And that's what we would be continuing to do.
I hope that works for you. I think because this SAE takeover in 2010 and all these things, and you are at the right place, in the right markets, Africa and Middle East. So
Right.
there was one follow-up question. Why do we not have manufacturing presence in Africa and Middle East? We have acquired in Americas,
Yeah.
and that has given a lot of strategic advantage also directly. But there's nothing in Africa and Middle East.
Okay, we did examine, and you're right, sometimes the countries also require local value addition. And at one stage, we had a project in Ethiopia, for instance, and they required 50% value addition. So we contracted the fabrication facility in Ethiopia. So we were doing value addition there. We also looked at possibility of acquiring a company in South Africa. And third, we also examined possibility of setting up a manufacturing facility in UAE. So these have been always there. And at the right time, yes, we would definitely step in. today we are the largest manufacturer of structurals in the world.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be ahead of the business because then that would be huge depreciation cost, interest cost. So we don't want to be sunk with our own weight.
I wish you all the best for future.
But thank you very much.
Thanks a lot,
Really
and
appreciate
thank you
it.
very much.